Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, everyone. This is G. All right, Mars will get to 6 degrees of Leo. Okay, gets to 6 degrees of Leo, and then it starts going backwards. Okay, and then it goes backwards into Cancer energy, and it goes all the way back to 17 degrees. Alrighty, once it gets to 17 degrees, then it stops and it goes forward. Okay. So knowing that is going to be important because Mars is like what I want to do. It's my body, but it's the actions that I want to take. Like, how do we recognize Mars energy other than my appearance and my head and my body? Like an example, the Mars when Mars was getting squared by the North and the South node, it wasn't so much a thing for me, at least anyway, I think about my appearance, but it was definitely my head. Like I was easily getting more headaches and migraines. Like it was just more typical than usual. And so the head, literally the head. So we have to kind of remember that piece of it with Mars, but also your physical body. Okay. And so with the physical body part, other than the appearance, it's the actions that you want to take. Like you want to do something. And if there's stress and tension, then there's resistance to your ability to do something. And Mars can get really angry when it can't do what it wants to do. Think of the little, like, remember the terrible twos? Some of you might have some of those little 2-year-old, 3-year-olds at home. And boy, when they want to do something, right? I mean, it's wonderful to watch children, like when the world kind of opens up around them, like their awareness of it and their body and the things they can do and seek out and kind of, experiment with, like running, walking, playing. And then, when a child is playing and if they can no longer play, if they're no longer the center of attention, if they no longer like, hey, you got to come in, it's time to eat type of thing. Some kids have a fit, right? Or if they're fighting because they're playing with the toys and so won't share or whatever the hell it is, right? Like there's a lot of different ways because play is a big thing with Leo energy. So there's something there with our laughter and playing games and being joyful and basically feeling like a kid again. But when Mars is in Leo, yeah, Mars is going to take action to having a good time. It's going to want to be out there, being joyful, cracking jokes, because Leo can be a little bit dramatic, and even it can be a performer for sure. I think of the Olympics, right? So there's a physical prowess with Leo energy, and it's I'm the king of the jungle, and it's courageous, and of course it's the hair with Leo energy. So when Mars goes into Leo, you might notice, for me, I always notice in my body, like whenever the signs change, it's painfully obvious sometimes because my Mars is right on my ascendant. Like your ascendant is already Mars ruled. It's your physical body. But then I also have the planet Mars on my ascendant. So I will see, like I can literally tell what planet is in what sign. Like I can take a shower, come out of the shower, and all of a sudden I'll have like this Leo hook, this Leo hook, like where the mane kind of does that swoop on the front of a Leo, when you see them. I'll all of a sudden have that there. I don't style it. I don't do anything to it. I just let it dry. I might have to add a little moisture. My hair is a little bit on the dry side. I might have to add a little coconut oil, but I don't do anything to it. And whatever I do, I'm usually doing the same thing every time. It's not like I'm got the curling iron out or kind of trying to add something to it, but I can literally see the changes. And this is your head, right? So Leo, Mars, the head, that part makes sense. Plus Leo, the hair, the mane, right? Yeah. So you may notice that for yourself when Mars makes that move, when Mars leaves Cancer and goes into Leo. Okay. Now, I'm talking about the Leo energy because Mars will then begin its retrograde in Leo, which means we're a little bit more fiery. We're going to be more easily fired up, more easily angered. We're going to have less patience. So 6 degrees, that means between 1 and 6 degrees for the fixed signs. This can be a battle. It's the fixed signs, right? We're talking Scorpio and Taurus. Fixed energy. Leo is fixed, so it can be a battle, right? Retrograde. Mars can be more intense than usual, can be more fiery and more kind of pop offish, like not even thinking and just acting. It's the whole leaping before looking, the whole speaking and acting without thinking. Mars is more about my body, my body. I'm just going to act and I'll do what I want, when I want, how I want. And many times to its own detriment because it doesn't think things through. It uses its head, but not its brain. It's the RAM. So it puts its head down and it'll charge forward. You follow? Which is okay. When we were younger, we could do that, right? You see the football players on the field, they kind of put their head down, head to head, right? And they're ramming each other kind of thing. Sure, for a certain time in our life, you might be able to get away with doing that, but that's not going to get you very far, right? Brain damage, like that, like there's just going to be a lot of injuries that over time, common sense, it just occurs. So we have to learn to develop our mind, is what it is with Mars energy. Now, Mars in Cancer, oh, we lived through it all through September. Fired up emotions in the public, people with weapons out in the public and doing crazy shit. People getting the public fired up with certain language and words and talking about, just just saying things, just racial remarks, pinpointing certain people within society, certain races, certain cultures within society, and saying less than positive things. Name calling. Let's just put it out there. It's just name calling and getting the public, people who may have intellectual disabilities, mental, emotional disabilities, right? Who aren't, who can't process things logically and who may be impulsive. There's a lot of us that are like that. Yeah, the red, white, and blue is striking on the chart, isn't it? We know that when Mars is in Cancer, it's women energy, it's the public, it's emotions, it's homes, it's literally where do I live? Where do I lay my head down at night? The public in general, the public being fired up, likely some shocking comments from the public, and even certain members of the public getting weapons and doing crazy things because they're hearing about things, whether they're true or not, and they're immediately acting upon them. They're being very impulsive. And that's what Mars is known for. Okay. The 17 degrees is key. Now, we got to find out when is the first time that Mars gets to 17 degrees of Cancer. Like, so when we go over this, it'll make a little bit more sense to understand the big picture. Mars touches 17 degrees of Cancer energy the first time as it's going through the sign of Cancer. It's moving direct. It's doing what it normally does. It's no longer out of bounds. It's moving in a forward motion. La, la, la. It gets to 17 degrees of Cancer October 4th. So October 3rd, October 4th, pay attention in your life. Pay attention to the events that are going on, because then this can give us a little bit of a foreshadow, right? Because this Mars will be coming back to this point, and it'll come back and stand still at this point. It'll stand still. So this will be something we'll be going over again in our mind and within our emotions and within the public. Okay. So that's a date that I want you to write down, especially for those of you who are doing the astro journaling. You want to write that date down because it's going to be key for you to be able to see where 17 degrees of Cancer energy in your chart. And, Mars is going to be there. Mars is going to visit that point. And even after October 2nd, as Mars moves on, which it will, it's going to move on. It's going to leave Cancer energy. It'll actually get to 29 degrees. That'll be further in October. That'll be around the end of October. All right. There's a lot of videos for the end of October because we have a new moon at that time. We have Halloween. Like it just seems like there's a lot around Halloween these last couple of years. But Mars will then get to 6 degrees of Leo. because we gotta, we're looking at when does Mars go retrograde. Mars will get to 6 degrees of Leo and begin retrograding. And that's going to be on December 6th. December 6th, that long. Right. Seems like a very long time. And it kind of is. It kind of is. Remember, Mars is not an especially fast mover. And because it's not a fast mover, it means that it sits at that 6 degrees for a decent amount of time. November 30th, December 1st is when Mars first gets to the 6 degrees. And it's not until we get to December 6th that it begins the retrograde. You follow? So it's spending like 7 days sitting at that 6 degrees. Now, this can be very uncomfortable in your chart. Okay. So I've got the red lines showing where Mars will square. It'll square stress and tension from 17 degrees of Libra and Aries. Okay. All the way to 6 degrees of Scorpio and 6 degrees of Taurus. That's Mars energy. Those are the squares. Now, the trines, something easily occurs. The trines are going to be from 17 degrees of Scorpio and 17 degrees of Pisces, all the way to 6 degrees of Sagittarius to 6 degrees of Aries. Squares are stress and tension. So the latter degrees of Libra and the first 6 degrees of Scorpio and Aries, it's cardinal square because Cancer is cardinal. You follow? But then when it moves into Leo, right, it starts to square the first 6 degrees of the fixed signs of Taurus and Scorpio. You understand that? Taurus and Scorpio. Okay, so these angles all occur. They all start occurring in October because it's in October when Mars gets to the 17 degrees. And so that's the cardinal square and then eventually the fixed square. And then Mars is going to go retrograde. It's going to start going backward. It starts retrograding on December 6th. It retrogrades all the way back to Cancer energy at 17 degrees. And then it starts to go forward. On February 24th, 2025, I think I said it wrong a lot of ways. February 24th, 2025 is when the retrograde ends. Mars will now be in Cancer at 17 degrees and it will start to go direct. It starts to move forward. Okay. So we're dealing with Mars, weapons, my anger, my frustration, my ability to be easily irritated and to have way less patience than normal is all Mars energy. And it'll be going through Cancer and Leo energy. So the retrograde begins December 6th, 2024, and ends February 24th, 2025. But it's the entire time that Mars is going and doing the back and forth between these two signs that make it a big deal because Mars is a fire sign. It gets to Leo at 6, a fire sign, and starts retrograding here. But it sits still at those 6 degrees for about 7 days in December. Very hot, very fired up, weapons, the public, children, people acting like children, the theatrics, the drama, the political piss, for a better word, what our representatives have become. Right. Highly dramatic. Highly, highly dramatic. But the problem is those inflaming words can cause some individuals who are mentally and emotionally and intellectually challenged to pick up arms. And that's where this becomes a big red flag, a big caution. So it's a time to be aware and alert. Okay. We will do a follow-up on this, but this is to give you a heads up because in October 4th to be exact, is when Mars again first gets to the 17 degrees in Cancer. And we're paying attention as to what's going on in the world, in our life at home, at our job, just so that we can kind of foresee and be better prepared for whatever this Mars retrograde may bring us. All right. So we'll do a deeper dive as the weeks come in some of the videos that talk about October and more specifically November and December, because we're going to be seeing how Mars showed up in November and December as it went through the last degrees of Cancer. I'm sorry, and then into Leo, and then we'll kind of have a better understanding. Like we'll see the physical proof of it. And yeah, the retrograde and when the whole cycle is over isn't until 2025. Not until February 24th of 2025 does Mars finally get back to 17 degrees of Cancer, and it's in a direct mode, which when Mars is direct, it's not as hot as a retrograding Mars. All right. So you got questions, comment below. And remember, I appreciate your time, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.